So what's good, y'all? Sean, the anime protagonist here. This is my first short on this channel, actually, so this is kind of crazy. But I just thought I'd make a short on something that I saw on Twitter, a few minutes ago. I wanted to talk about it. So somebody up above here is talking about my dress up darling, right? And they said that they had come across this article, apparently by Caitlin Brooke. I guess them talking about the anime, I guess. And it was just I won't say interesting, but it was more like I wonder how they came to these conclusions, you know. So it's about, well, first the post says, I value my dress up darling's premise and I absolutely adore Maureen and Gojo. I even root for them as individuals, but terrible writing ended up with terrible execution. For me, it was a hard watch. I agree with most of Caitlin Brooks' following analysis and observations. And so this is basically the article right here in question. It talks a little bit about their feelings about the show as a whole. And it's like two pictures, but it's basically talking about the relationship between Marine and Gojo. And for some reason, they just feel that it's not genuine, I guess. First of all, they mentioned lolly baiting for some reason. I don't know why they felt like they had to mention that in the beginning. But they're saying how him and her just happened to meet up, and she happens to like spicy video games, happens to want to cosplay folks like Shizuku, obviously a sexualized character, and it says happens to be completely unaware of the effect her body has on men, blah blah blah. You know, trying to make it seem like everything just doesn't line up, and it's just kind of, they're looking at everything kind of like with skepticism, almost like they're not the main characters of the story, because of course naturally they're gonna fall in love with each other eventually. We know this, but it's not happening in a way that they're making it seem like. It feels very natural, me personally, but they're saying that, and it's saying it's too much happenstance to be a coincidence, which I don't believe that. But says the mangaka just wanted to fill this comic with as much fan service as possible. My Dress Up Darling is a pretty low on the totem pole for fan service, even though it does have fan service, obviously. But it's not as bad as what they're making it out to be. Anyways, moving on. Inconsistencies, apparently bad writing is just a side effect. I don't know what bad writing they're talking about, unless they're just talking about the fan service. They don't really make any good examples in this, but again, it's just they just seem to kind of be ranting about the fan service for real. And then they mentioned porn's got to be porn. I don't know why they felt the need to say that. I have no idea, but that's exactly what they said. And then they say that leaves us with the other problem. Basically, they bring up consent at like several times in this article. I'm not sure why, but we'll get to that in a second. Best explanation I can come up with for how a woman could be capable of writing a show that grossly objectifies and abuses the female protagonist as much as it does. Again, I don't know what they're talking about. They bring up another thing talking about abusing and objectifying the female protagonist, even though she chooses willingly to do these things. It's not a foreign thing. Anime is not new, and now that it's getting more popular, we do have more folks that want to cosplay, of course, and they're not always going to be vanilla. So that's just the reality of it. But I digress. They bring it up in the worst possible series to do that. And this is part 2 of the article, saying basically they're trying to find they're desperately trying to find things to make the series seem like just bad. It'd be different if they had like criticisms, but they're just saying that the writing is just bad overall. They talk about the game that Maureen likes, Slippery Girls, talking about how it's a game about sexual humiliation, as they put it. It's obviously an 18+ game. Obviously we know what Slippery Girls is. If you watch My Dress Up Darling, you know what Maureen's into. But here's another place where they bring up consent, and I think they just use this as a talking point for this video game, where obviously they're objectifying women or whatever. But it's just very strange. They seem to be under the pretense that girls can't be horny for some reason. So I don't know. I don't get it. But anyways, there's more. They're talking about Maureen promises Gojo to stop asking to make extremely lewd cosplays, and she cosplays as Succubus. On top of that, Kitagawa's consent is never prioritized. I don't know what they mean by that. They make it sound like Gojo is forcing her to do these things, even though this is something that she has expressed interest in. That's like the whole point of the show. Again, it's just very strange. And then afterwards, they still talk about consent. I don't know where that comes up in this. I don't know where the problem with consent shows up, but they keep bringing it up. It's like 4 or 5 times. Going forward with the sexual encounter without consent is not even remotely romantic or funny. They're probably talking about the newest episode where there's a misunderstanding between the two. I'm not going to spoil too much, but there's a misunderstanding between the two, and she has it in her head that something's about to happen, and so she gets prepared for it or whatever. But on her own, you know what I'm saying? So it's just very strange. They try and pick out. It seems like they picked out specific moments where they think they might have seen something happening, but it wasn't really that, because I don't know why the consent thing keeps coming up, especially outside of the pretense of the game that they were talking about earlier. Like outside of the game, I don't know what else they're talking about. But yeah, and they say they're talking about an issue with the mangaka, who is Fukuda, selling out her morals for a quick buck. It just very overblown and dramatic. But yeah, me personally, I feel like My Dress Up Darling is like the least of our worries as far as like, very raunchy, dirty, scenes. It's definitely low on the totem pole, and it just seems like they're picking it out to be a punching bag. Let me know what y'all think. I really think this is just something, this was just a post that I saw, and I just thought that I'd, say something about it. But yeah, let me know if y'all want me to talk about more. I'll definitely try and post a lot more on this. And yeah, just follow me on TikTok. I also make YouTube videos. I'm starting to make YouTube videos now, and I'll put that link in the description and on the screen and everything. And yeah, thank y'all for watching.